And as we discussed, we are just going to ask you a couple of questions just to get started before we bring this thing through.
Sure.
Can you hear us?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. So would you mind telling us how you got started in the whole channeling of ETs?
Well, the channeling of ETs specifically happened after a spontaneous vocal channeling. I grew up as an actor, so channeling in different ways, playing different characters, getting immersed in a character, immersed in a story. My spiritual awakening started to happen, but I still, at this point, didn't know anything about vocal channeling. Extraterrestrials and ETs, the storyline had just recently presented itself to me as it being a part of our reality. It was something that up until that point it was like blinders on. I had one friend of mine do a psychic reading for me, and she told me, "Whoa, you have all of these extraterrestrials in your space." I didn't even know what that meant at that time, like, you know, in my energy field. And I was like, "Oh wow, they're real?" And she's, "Yeah, we think so." And so that was something that blew open my filters right then and there. And then a few weeks later, I had a spontaneous vocal channeling. The agreement was ready and it was time. And I was with the same friend of mine who was there to hold space for me and witness the energy coming through. And then know, after she had heard it and seen it, that there was a connection and an energetic link within her understanding with the information that had already been coming through Bashar via Daryl Anka. And so she told me if I was excited to go and take a look at Bashar and to even know that vocal channeling was this phenomenon or was a connection in a way. And so I did, and it started to just roll from there, and I started being able to teach myself how to do it, or different guides and teachers came in to facilitate the connection. And then a few months after it originally started, I actually got in contact with Daryl Anka, and my friend and I went to go see him in person at a private session, and he, at a certain level, I think, recognized me and knew to extend his friendship and his mentorship in a way. And this was about 8 years ago, and he told me that I could contact him if I needed, and I've been in contact with him on and off when it was really kind of relevant for me. But that's how it all started for me, kind of getting initiated in this way, in this lineage that I see. And I'm kind of like the next generation in a way that came from this specific type of channeling.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
How has that been going? How's the relationship been developing to Isabell? It's been really. That's a great question. Thank you for that. It's been very humbling for me in a way, and very accelerating for me. Especially those of us that come from this very specific lineage. It really is about integration for all of us. And so really understanding that there is Bella or Isabell, the being that is her, and then the being that is me. And what is happening in these channelings is a combination of the two energies, and creating this third entity in a way, and also something very much for the channel to be able to have their own process of integration and clearing through our own egos in a way, because that's really what we're doing, is really clearing the ego in a way of the doubts and the fears and all of the muck to really allow the energy to come through. So it's been extremely personally accelerating for me, and really looking at my little choices that we label habits, and different, in a sense, I'd say like fears maybe that I've had about sharing this, and being able to adjust that in my own understanding of like, okay, that's excitement, really in a way being able to truly live what is being preached through me. And to have a relationship with her in a way that is really becoming like the new me, if that makes sense. And to do that as honestly and as humbly and as bravely as I can, so I can really embody the messages that are coming to be able to go deeper and bring through more and more and more for everyone else. But as I'm newly getting started, I'm still very much relaxing into the knowing that this is very, very real. Even though I've had all of these experiences this far to prepare me in a way, there's still that aspect of that doubting mind or that ego that is getting smoothed out. And ultimately, that's the purpose with these types of channelings for the channel, him or herself.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
Isabell? Wonderful. Gita, I think we are. Gita, is there anything that you would like to tell us before you bring Isabell through?
That I'm just so thankful. I'm so happy for your excitement, and I'm curious, how many people do we have on your end today? How many?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 22.
Yay! 22! So thank you! Yay!
23 with the baby.
23 and oh, fantastic. Well, thank you so much, each and every one of you, for following your excitement and your curiosity and your presence and your presence in the present. I'm just so in joy to see where we all go next from here. So just my gratitude to all of you there. So
thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll gratitude that to you. Sorry, give me a question.
Hi Rita, thanks for your time. I just wanted to find out in terms of contacting your entity that channels through you, is it always available to you? Is it energy, or do you have to sort of pre-prep or ask the entity to come through you? I don't know, like, how do you make that initial connection? Like right now, is Isabell aware that she's coming through?
yeah, I think on some level she is. There's a lot happening, so she has the ability to be multiple places and send her consciousness multiple places. But yes, there definitely is a level of her that's aware. I can start to feel it when it kind of gets right. I think I was always connected to this specific being, but I may not have been conscious of it. When the channeling first started coming through, what's very common is that there's many different energies, many different archetypes in a way that are relating to the different emotional processes that the channel is going through. And there's just lots of different energies. There's a whole kind of cast of characters that'll come through and help the channel to stretch. So it wasn't until maybe 3 or 4 years into me stretching that Bella presented herself. And I knew in that moment, oh, this is the agreement, like this is the entity. And so for the past 4 years, it's mainly been her. There are a few different energies that are connected to our oversoul stream that can pop in and out. For the most part, it's been her. But it took years, honestly, for that specific being, or kind of how I relate to it, that specific character within the overall play that I was going to be cast as. Like, oh, this is the role that I'm cast as in the greater show is kind of how I see it. But it took some time.
Wonderful. If you are.
Great, we're ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yay, feel it. Okay. Have fun, you guys. evening of your time.
Hello, Isabell, welcome.
Hello! Thank you for having me in this way. And also thank you. You all thank each and every one of you for, in a sense, having you all in this way. Opening up to more and more and more of you. More of what the spirit, of what the emotional ability of the human is capable of. Opening up to more of your ability to have contact and connections with yourselves. Even though, yes, from our perspective, we are very much differentiated beings, but also we wish always to remind you in that sense that we first wish to act as mirrors in that way, opening yourselves up to more that you are ready to show you. When these channelings happen in this type of way, we are together, collectively, creating a new template reality in that way. A third entity, a third reality in that way is created by all of us participating together. So allow yourselves to truly feel this new template reality. Allow yourself to even see it in your mind's eye. However your imagination wishes to translate it to you. Maybe it is a beautiful beach scene, or in the forest amongst the trees, or sitting on a cloud itself, or in a white expansive room, infinite in scope. Maybe you can even see the lines, the makeup of the blueprint of the matrix itself. Allow your imagination, your heart, your connection, your contact to more of you to show yourself, in a sense, what this new reality looks like. This new co-creative space looks like to you. And to know that I am helping to facilitate the door opening. And this door will always, from here on out, be open in that sense for you to come back to. There is always then there this realm, this dream space, this blueprint reality, this vortex in a sense, however you wish to label it, that will always remain open to you. You can go to this realm and ask for more information from your higher self, from more information from your contact. I am, in a sense, allowed to say, to disclose, in a sense, my more specific modalities in regard to contact on your planet at this time. More of my teachers, in that sense, different beings from my lineage, have recently made it known that contact has now entered into its second phase. I am, in that sense, a representative of the second phase of contact. I am a second phase contact specialist in that sense. Still, technically, yes, in training, if you like to get very specific with it. I am still heading towards full graduation. But in that sense, this is my specific modality. The first phase of contact, those beings, those teachers that were the instigators, we might say, were the beings of the first initiation, were first focusing on, in a sense, the mind, understanding how you perceive reality as more so there of an external representation, an external formula, an external exploration, bringing certain information through, coming from more so the mind, the logical aspect, needing to begin to understand and define, in that sense, where you are actually, how reality actually functions, how you create separate realities with your internal frequencies. The first phase of contact in that way was explaining to you, in a sense, the blueprint itself. Explaining to you, in a sense, the show itself, or your reality itself, how matter is actually functioning, looking at it from an external perspective. We all now have entered into the second phase of contact. What that means is now switching the perspectives, in a sense, to having a more, as you would define it, female polarized expression, working from the emotional body, working from sensations, working from the internal reality, that you are now more fully, truly knowing that that is what creates your perspective of the external. But we, in a sense, needed to explain the external first, and now we're able to help you all go deeper and deeper and deeper, ultimately into the self, into the self emotional expression, into the self experience of senses, into the self contact that part and parcel will begin to interweave more of what you perceive as reality. So when we then introduce this new third reality to you, truly allow yourself to imagine it, to hear the waves on the beach, or to hear the echoing through time and space itself, to hear the birds chirping or see the reflections of the sun through the leaves and the trees. Whatever your imagination is giving you, remember, is your translation of your higher self's ability to formulate these concepts in a way that your belief systems, your ego structure can currently understand. So truly see this new reality. Truly feel this blueprint within you, within you, within you, within you. And know that as we all together are entering into the second phases of contact on your planet, this truly then is found only within you. This new reality, this dream world is truly in you. There is in that way nothing, 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 nothing out there. There is no somewhere. There is no out there. The only way, in a sense, over the rainbow, you might say, is fully in to what you always know. Feel that in your heart. See your light within you. It may, at first, only be the size of a keyhole, but see that pinpoint of light and allow it to expand. Allow it to grow, to burst within you. We thank each and every one of you for diving just that much deeper, deeper, deeper into more and more and more of you. For honestly and truly, it is through each and every one of you that we are able to know more about ourselves, that the all that is able to know more about itself. So thank you for diving deep, for having fun, and for relaying then there back to the one. We now open the floor for questions, reflections, statements, or explanations. How may we be of further service to you?
Hello, Bella. How are you?
Hello. Wonderful. And how are you?
Full of wonder. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank
I
you.
wanted to ask if you could give us some information and resources on your own society and how you experience to nature reality on your side.
Yes, I am allowed in that way to give you a bit more of an understanding in that sense of where it is that we actually come from. For I can first state it is not exactly in that sense what you all have been thinking. When we say that these types of channelings create a third reality in that sense, a new blueprint reality, in a sense we use the word dream world very literally in that sense. For my civilization of the Isabell comes from more so what you would understand as a dream world. We are from, in a sense, coming from the upper levels or the lower levels, depending on how you look at it, of the fourth density. Still within fourth dimension, coming from, in a sense, a little bit further of where you are headed. We are squarely in between the bridge before going into fifth density. In that sense, we are still physicalized, and we are also then holding that space, in a sense, directly in what you may more so understand as a dream frequency, as a dimensional vortex, in a way. We do have what you would understand as a planet, you might say. It may be spherical in the sense of how you would perceive it, but it is not quite like how planet Earth, Gaia, came into form, and also not quite like other civilizations within the hybrid lineage that had their planets grown, in a sense, you might say. We are more so birthing from the imagination itself in a dream world connected to different aspects of what shamans on your planet have understood. We understand that this language right now may not fully completely translate, as we are stretching the channel in a sense to be able to comprehend these ideas, and also are aware that in a sense we are stretching all of you, for it is something a bit less structured in that way. I can give you the label at this time for my realm. This may not be an exact translation, or may not even be an exact label, you understand, but for the time it is relevant. My civilization's realm in that way can be called a door-a-pan. A door-a-pan. A door open. A door is opening then there to more of the pan. A door-a-pan.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask if you could tell us a little bit more about the nature of consciousness itself.
The nature of consciousness itself best way to explain it at this time would be the writer, you might say, of the story. The creator, in a sense, the experiencer. The forward-moving energy that is able to perceive, understand, and relay. There are many, many different ways, in a sense, that consciousness in that way can manifest. For everything in that way has its own consciousness. Everything in that way has its own preferred modality of telling a story, simply enough.
Hi there.
Hello!
I wanted to ask a bit about the hybrid children. If you could speak a little bit about them.
Yes. We will first state that, in a sense, all beings that come from the hybrid lineage, that come from the grey hybrid program, could be looked at and felt as all of your children in that way, regardless of what specific civilization they may come from. There can be aspects of all the participants from the program in all of the beings in the hybrid family, hybrid lineage. We feel that it is most relevant now for you all to truly begin to, in a sense, feel this. Truly, truly feel this in your body. Feel your heart expanding in that sense that you have that many hybrid children in that way. The archetypes have specifically come through from different civilizations first, in a sense, to activate different aspects of the family. Most of the beings that have come through this far have activated certain understandings of the All-Father or All-Mother, or having certain parental archetypes connected to them. But from my perspective, I can say it is most important and very relevant in that sense for you all to begin to feel the connection to all of your children in that way. Now we understand, to answer more so of your specific question, there is a group, in a sense, known as the Chalanaya, that are more so what you are labeling more so directly your hybrid children. From my perspective, I can say these energies will come about in a variety of different ways. They are hybrid children, as you understand it, beings that were, in a sense, created from the grey hybrid program that are existing on some Yahyel ships in that way. They are beings that are more closely connected to your DNA and look in that way more like you. These are very differentiated beings in that way of what you could classify as the hybrid children. From my perspective, there are also certain individuals on your planet that are what I might label hybridized humans. Different beings that have participated in the hybrid programs and have different activations done to their DNA. They are not fully the same in that way as what you may call the hybrid children, but they have had certain activations within their DNA, within their emotional body, within their overall frequencies to activate different aspects of what you might understand as the dormant DNA. In a way, these individuals emanate, and as they begin to ground and open and understand more, they will emanate more and more and more and more of this hybrid frequency. There are also different children, different beings that will come about, that will come to your planet in, as you might say, more traditional ways. In the next following years, more and more of you, more and more of the hybridized humans in that sense will be activated, will come into more of your understandings, and there are different timelines, different potentials where different beings from this group will find each other and come together and create offspring, you might say, in a more traditional way. From my perspective, these beings, these children that will be created are very, 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 very close energetically and genetically to what you are understanding as the hybrid children. In a way, again, from my perspective, then all of these beings collectively, in that sense, the hybridized humans, the children to come, and the children that are existing on ships, all combined energies in that way could be labeled, in a sense, as the Shalanaya or as the sixth hybrid race to come. You are all, in a sense, activating your own inner hybrid child nature. Does this make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Isabell.
Hello!
Welcome. I would like to know if you have a prime creator or a source or a god, whatever you would like to call it. Is there, you know, one of the things is the sun, grandfather sun, could
Yes.
be prime creator. Do you have some belief system like that?
Yes, we do, and it may not, in a sense, translate directly for you, but we do, in that sense, believe what you might say in the one, as the one is the all and the all is the one. In that sense, the prime creator, you might say, or the all-knowing, the all-one in that sense, is also, we might say, what might be classified in that sense of consciousness itself. The storyteller itself wanting to shatter itself, you might say, into infinite pieces, into infinite experiences to be able to explore in that way. From my perspective, there is the way to translate it in your language as there being a feminine and a masculine aspect of the one, of the consciousness. We are also being shown for fun to show you, as it has also been relayed as by one of my teachers before, the idea of a mirrored disco ball. Might be in that sense of what you would understand as the God or the prime creator, or consciousness itself, in a sense, manifested into a slightly more material form to be able to then take different densities, different expressions throughout the all to make more of the unknown known, to have experience in that way. So as I am being shown to translate to you now, I, in a sense, view the one sun, the one daughter, the one heart, the source, the prime creator, in that sense as a mirrored disco ball. When consciousness, in a sense, woke up, you might say, and was able to see itself as consciousness, the first aspect in that way is the awareness of seeing. Then there is the shattering, you might say, where different polarizations, different aspects are able to come into form, and simply enough, there is then the masculine expression and the feminine expression, to put it simply. When this occurs, consciousness, in a sense, is able to not only recognize itself, to see itself, to ask the question of itself, who am I? But then to also see, in a sense, the manifestation of the other. Then from there, the shattering or the fractalizing in that sense continues and continues and continues. And there are more and more and more pieces of the mirror in that way that are able to reflect back to the whole. There is always, in that way, the state of the prime creator in that way that is always whole, that is always the sphere of the mirrors that knows itself to be all of the different aspects And then also simultaneously the aspect of the shattering, the aspects of all of the parts in that way that allow experience, that allow more to be known. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Sure. Hi Isabell, thank you
Hello.
for your time. I'm going to hopefully try and get this through as simply as I can. So from my belief, you say you live in the highest fourth and fifth realm, so being
Speak up.
ultraviolet and X-ray. So from my understanding, you live in ultraviolet and X-ray realms, which are the fourth and fifth. As a human being, we are pretty much believes that we have 7 bodies on each level, currently living in Kurtizan, and our goal is to ascend, to move up to these other levels. Now,
We will stop you at this point. From my perspective, it is more relevant in a sense for you to understand. You are currently in 3rd density, yes? You are moving into 4th density. What is also happening, we might say, for you all to begin to understand a bit more, is you are also bringing in what has been labeled 5th dimensional consciousness. So that is the aspect of the spirit realm, in a sense, where more of you is always existing. Your entire form in that way, your entire consciousness, your entire being in that way, has always been in the spirit realm, has never left the spirit realm, and you are having the experience of dreaming yourself into your perceived physicality. Your wholeness is in the spirit realm, and in a sense, your pinky is here in what you understand is your 3rd density. We understand that from some perspectives, it may be beneficial to work with these different 7 bodies, maybe in a sense to understand different aspects of the chakra system in a way. We also understand your idea in that sense, your language of ascension. But what, from my perspective, is more so actually happening is a full integration. So for you all to begin, in a sense, switch your definitions, you might say, of needing to reach up and out of something. But for you to all understand, as we said, it is all inherently always been in you. It is what you all are naturally. And as you are moving into 4th density, bringing more of that energy, more of that spirit, more of that ultimate you into physicality, what is happening in a sense is you are all, each and every one of you, becoming your own representations of what you might understand as the Buddha nature, as the Christ consciousness, as the Krishna spirit in that sense, bringing more so of the ascended quote-unquote energies into physicality, yes, into integration on your planet. Does this make sense?
does make sense.
And from my perspective, it is in that way a bit more of a simpler way to look at it. From my perspective, it may give all of you a bit of a relaxation in a way. For you are falling into, you are relaxing into, you are opening into more of what you have just always been. There is nothing that you need to strive externally out for. You are not extending out of, you are not ascending out of, you are just integrating into more.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I have, I'm struggling to understand the concept of duality in the sense that I understand that there needs to be negative for there to be positive,
Yes.
just as there needs to be darkness for there to be light and so on. We can't experience a good feeling if we only had good feelings.
Yes.
Because we wouldn't know what the difference would be. So we need that bad feeling in order to experience the good feeling and to know what is good and what is bad.
It is also, we will then state your definitions then there of what you are quote unquote labeling quote unquote the bad feelings. from my perspective, I will first state we understand to the best of our ability what it feels like to be on your planet, what it feels like to be in your density. We understand and wish to relay to each and every one of you what you, in a sense, have chosen to do being human. You have agreed to go to the depths of contrast, to the depths of feeling. Your emotional bodies in that way are extremely unique. You have more of a connection to the feeling emotional body than any civilization that I have encountered thus far. It is part of the agreement for planet Earth. You have all agreed, in a sense, to feel these extremely stark degrees of contrast, to be able to make more of the unknown known, and to also, in a sense, we will use the term physically move these denser emotions, to physically move them. When we say that, just you feeling these feelings, moving them through your biology of your technology that is human, brings these, as you would define them, denser emotions into a resonance where it can be felt and vibrated and moved and brought into balance and wholeness for the rest of the all that is. It is how you are all collectively fully bringing balance to creation. We wish to state that first, for we have the utmost appreciation, respect, inspiration, and awe for all of you, for how deep in that sense you are willing to go. But as you are the ones in the experience of this, we understand that it can be very challenging. And so you can have, in a sense, a positive relationship to what you are calling, quote unquote, bad feelings. And as you said, the duality is always in existence. We mean this also specifically with emotions and with frequency. We will use the vibration of excitement and anxiety for you. They are one and the same. The anxiety is the same energy of excitement that is getting filtered through different belief systems, and it is arising in your body in a way that feels slightly out of tune. But ultimately, it is for the integration. Ultimately, as you said, you are able to experience this and then know that it is a reflection in that way of something that you no longer wish to experience. And by altering your definitions in that way of being able to look at what you are labeling a quote-unquote bad emotion or quote-unquote denser emotion, or even something that is quote-unquote a negative emotion, ultimately they are serving an extremely segregative, integrative process. And so we understand that while you are in the process of feeling these feelings, being in these experiences of contrast, it is extremely challenging. But from our perspective, we preface this with explaining to you our perspectives of what it is you are all actually choosing to do in regards to moving these emotions, moving these experiences, allowing them to sound and resonate through your frequency, because it ultimately serves an extremely integrative process. It is, in a sense, the frequency, you might say, the vibration of these denser emotions and denser experiences themselves, and even things on your planet that we understand look extremely, as you would say, negative. Scientifically speaking, or quantumly speaking in that sense, there is a vibration within these states. There is a vibration that, from one perspective, is moving extremely slow, is moving extremely densely through its frequency. There is also, looking at it, as you might look at the epsilon brainwave frequency, there is also within it the aspects of these denser emotions that are moving rapidly fast, that are the expressions, the energies ultimately that bring everything back into ultimate integration. And so there is always a way, if you so choose, to be able to look positively, to feel the integrations of these more negative experiences, of these more perceived negative experiences and denser emotions. Does this make sense to you and provide a bit of clarity in that way?
Yes, very much so.
Speak up.
Are we able to feel, to choose to feel always, quote unquote, a good feeling? Are we able to always feel good? Or do we have to have the contrast in order to experience good? Because one may say, well then, I need to have the bad to have the good, so what's the point of trying? Because I'm going to end up in balance anyway. Can I have an earthly experience where I feel good no matter what happens to me the whole time? Or is that not possible?
From our perspective, it is possible, and what we are saying is that you can, in a sense, have a good feeling about being sad. There can be, we will say, there can be the experience of always remember in that sense that you are in a simulation, yes? Always remember in that sense that you are in a show, you are an actor in a play. An actor in a play, his job in that way is to get so fully in the moment to forget that he is an actor in a play. To get so fully into character to forget that he is an actor. Yes? Even the best of actors in that way will have an extremely challenging time doing this. They may be in the thralls of playing an extremely intense death scene, and they are crying and they are feeling it as their loved one is passing away in some sort of Shakespearean tragedy. But there may be the mind, that part of the actor in that sense, that is awakening and remembers he's hungry and didn't eat enough for lunch today, and there's an aspect of the mind of the actor that gets excited for dinner while he is in the process of a very intense, dramatic scene in that way. What you all have chosen to do as being humans in this show, in this experience, is to be the best actors possible. You all have truly, 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 truly forgotten that you are an actor in a role. So when you are experiencing these different denser emotions or playing out these very dramatic scenes, you are forgetting that you are an actor having an experience for the greater show. You are now entering into the phase where more of you are fully able of having that conscious understanding, that conscious realization in a sense of feeling your differentiated parts of self, of feeling the actor, of feeling, we will say, the character on planet Earth, of feeling your personality construct that is going through the scenes, and then also having the differentiated perspective of feeling your higher self, feeling that aspect of you of being the ultimate actor in the show. More and more of you are waking up to this, and more of you are being able to feel this differentiation, are able to remind yourself of this differentiation when you are having experiences that can be very dense and very full of contrast in that way. More and more of you are remembering, connecting back to your higher self perspective, knowing that you are the ultimate you that is in your pinky, having an experience, playing a role as a human on planet Earth. So you can, from our perspective, continue to have these different experiences that you are reflecting to you, that may be bringing up different ideas of contrast and limitation, and having still the response in your body, having the dramatic scenes in that way play out, but having now the memory that you are an actor playing out emotions, and having a memory in a sense that you are a beautiful, perfect actor in that sense. that you are a perfect channel, able to move these emotions to bring things back into wholeness. The more that you positively identify, in a sense, with being expressive enough to go through these, being expressive enough to be such a multifaceted, beautiful actor in this role, the more that you are able to positively shed a light on these experiences, the more things you will manifest into your life that give you a positive reflection in that way, that give you quote-unquote good feelings, without you necessarily needing to do, as we might say, the Jedi mind tricks. This is all part of the process, though. This is part of what builds the muscle for you all to remember more so what you have always been. You can't, in a sense, we will say, go directly from point A to point Z. There are spaces in between. Yes, ultimately it is possible for humanity not to need to go through contrast. Yes, it is possible ultimately for you all to be in quote-unquote good feelings all the time. But your civilization is coming from a polarity of fear, has had far more time and experience being in what you understand as the fear vibration. You are all now being able to see that everything, in a sense, is duality, and even multifaceted aspects, but we can stick with duality for simplistic reasons. You are all fully now seeing that the opposite of fear truly is love. You are all heading into fully the vibration of being in love all the time, but there are steps, in a sense, that you will go through first. Even though we understand, all of you in that sense feel as though you are ready, you feel as though you have always been in the fifth densities, the fourth densities, and you are done, in a sense, with this experience, we understand. But ultimately, from our perspective, this really is not how you actually choose to do it. You are that strong. You are that determined, in that sense, for the rest of the all that is. You will go through your stages. You will, in that sense, continue to be in the trenches at a certain level, but then being able to remember that you are an actor in this extremely intense role for all of creation, and remembering that and giving a more positive definition to your emotional capabilities. Does this make sense?
Very much so.
Yes. So play, play, play. It is all the play.
Hello, Isabella.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
It is my joy.
Thank you. The question I would like to ask is what your relationship is as the Yael, or your civilization, to that of other beings such as angels or the ascended masters, if you do interact with them or have any sort of relation.
Yes. Yes, we do. My specific lineage, in that way I can say, from my perspective, there are many teachers, many ascended masters, many angels, in that way, that have worked with what you would understand as the Christ consciousness, or as the Buddha nature, or Krishna spirit, in that way. There are many, many different teachers from this very specific lineage that we are connected to in regards to bringing through what we feel the most relevant type of information at this time for your society. This is, again, from my perspective, I am very aware of my connections in that way to these different types of ascended masters in regards to this very specific lineage of consciousness. From my perspective, there are also different aspects of the hybrid lineage, different teachers of mine that come from the hybrid lineage that also have connections to these very specific, you might say, soul stream from your planet that you are identifying as ascended masters and angelic realms. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greetings, beautiful beings, Bella.
Repeat, please.
Greetings, beautiful being, Bella.
Ah, greetings, beautiful being you.
Thank you. My question is whether or not there are any questions that you or your civilization are currently trying to solve.
Ah, fun question. Yes, I am able to relay to you at this time that, speaking in one sense, looking at creation in that way, literally, I and different fractions of those that come before me in that way, different aspects of the first contact specialists in that way, are still searching and still questioning from a linear time, you might say, who the first beings were. Who created the Anunnakis, creators, you might say. This is an interesting exploration for many of us in that way. And also we are able to, in a sense, relay this to you, that also, speaking quantumly, you might say, or speaking outside of the time and space conundrum, we'll say, there is no first race. And we are all collectively recalling, remembering, creating each other in this now. Creating our family, our greater cosmic heritage, you might say, in this now. But from our perspective, we only have slight indications, you might say, of where the beings we come from, where they may come from. You understand? And we feel that relaying this information to you can truly help you more so ground into the actual representation of how you perceive time and space. Fun question. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today, Bella.
Thank you.
I have a question that relates to some earlier comments you made when you said that ascension could also be viewed as integration of ourselves.
Yes.
Where, if I understood right in your later comments, where we move away from fear on the continuum and become holy, loving beings in
Yes.
this reality that we're in.
Yes.
I have a question related to that. As I become, or as we become more integrated, in other words, more completely love as our very content or
Yes.
way of being, there comes a point that our physical bodies get tired, they expire, and who we are is no longer inside those bodies. I have conversations regularly with people who lived on this earth and have not come back in a body form, but they continue to work on this earth in this.
Well, yes, because that is the actual nature of time.
Do we have a choice when this body expires to come back in the body again to do the work of transformation, or do we remain outside this structure and impact the world from the outside? Thank you.
We understand your question, and this may be a bit of your perception in that way of, again, how the actuality of time and space is working in that way. From my perspective, what you are asking in that sense would be a certain way of looking at what you might say reincarnation. From my perspective, that is not how incarnation works in that sense. So again, as we said, there is the prime creator, there is the God, there is the love, you might say, the one, that is one. And it has had the experience, you might say, of a shattering. So there are infinite pieces of the one soul that are scattered about having their expression. You are incarnated as you, your signature frequency, your energy is you incarnated as you. From my particular perspective, once your spirit, in a sense, leaves the body, as you might say, you are still you, and you are still on the same trajectory. You are still in your timeline. What some beings on your planet, when they say that that is a past life or a future life of them, it's not quite how it's working from my perspective. For all time in that way is happening here and now. What may be your perspective of a past life or a future life, from my perspective, is actually a different slice, a different version of your oversoul. There may be different connections, you might say, different ways that different beings are able to connect to each other, have cross-connecting experiences in that way, but it is not the reincarnation, you might say, of the same being. It is an aspect of the oversoul that is having a spliced experience simultaneously within what you define as time and space. Does this make sense?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Sorry, again. As you've seen in the last 1,000 years, the population on Earth has expanded tremendously. Where
Yes.
did the extra souls come from? Was it a choice? And have we reincarnated from other Earths on this sort of level?
Oh, it's very much a choice in that way. We can say there is a very, 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 very long line of people waiting to incarnate at this time on your planet. It is, in a sense, where the show is happening. It is the most condensed school in that way. There are many, many different types of beings here at this time to go through this transition, or in a sense also to help this transition in many, many different ways.
Greetings, Mother.
Hello!
Oh, okay. In this contrast that's been described as we are the masters of lack, I seem to be attracted to we live in parallel universes,
Yes.
and we kind of speak past one another. And
We
live
first
past
wish
one
to
another.
make a slight differentiation for you. We understand the masters of lack or the masters of limitation. But just for you in this now, to put a slightly different emphasis on the words. You are the masters of lack. You are the masters of limitation. Do you understand?
Yes.
Continue with your question.
So I seem to be attracted to the work of being able to bridge that gap of that we create our reality based on our beliefs as we see it.
Yes.
Any advice that you have to be better at it?
Yes. Of course, from there, it is always simply enough following the formula. Being in your heart, being in your integrity, in your excitement, to the best of your ability, in each and every moment, without any insistence on the outcome. This is part of the process of moving out of the limitations into the mastery. We have said it this way for many different years, and I am now continuing forth with this being, in a sense, the foundation, you might say, of our message. committing to your highest excitement. We mean very much then there, in each and every moment. To the best of your ability, truly being able to slow down the relay process of your imagination, giving you the next translation of your highest frequency in each and every subtle moment. You are present in that way. To you is how present you can be. And we ensure you this is how reality functions. This is how you can function within the infinite realities. This truly is the way to navigate. To be in your excitement in each and every moment. To continue each idea through to the best of your ability without any insistence on where it needs to go. And in that way, too, to not get too caught up, you might say, on having what you might call a certain desire, of having what you might call an expectation. That is part of the initial download, you might say, part of the initial translation that you are giving you. You may, within it, have certain desires, have certain expectations, you might say, of how you wish to do whatever it is you wish to do. But no, once you have taken it as far as you can, to then there really relax your insistence on where it needs to go from there, or what the outcome needs to be as a result of these specific steps. We can also say for you specifically at this time, and those of you who are also in the process of very much looking at your belief systems, doing this type of internal homework play, we can say, we are able to impart a slightly different type of permission slip at this time. When you come up on a belief, you might say, when you have cleared enough of your core beliefs, you might say, there will, in most cases, still be a certain residue of emotion. As we said earlier, these emotions may be what you would perceive as being denser frequencies, what have been labeled as being quote-unquote negative frequencies, but they are not. They are extremely, extremely ultimately integrative, as well as, like the tail of the snake going into its own mouth, extremely high vibrating. And so once you have cleared enough, you might say, of looking at the logical mind aspects of your belief systems, to allow yourself then to really feel the residue, you might say, of these specific emotions, the motion in the energy. To feel these feelings in your body as much as you are able, as much as still is fun, we might say, remembering that you are an actor in a role and now you are playing a scene of being an ultimate integrator, and to feel it, and to allow yourself to truly feel the positive aspects of these denser emotions. Taking anxiety again for an example, there is a certain level of power, a certain level of acceleration that can be physically felt in your body. And by you choosing to define it slightly differently as being something that is integrative, you can much more easily, in a sense, sit in that emotion. Mind you, you only need to do this a few minutes in each session, you might say, within your practice. Doesn't even have to be daily. You can also only do it for 30 seconds. However much you are able to handle in that way, we say, and however much you are able to hold still in a positive definition. You understand? Truly feeling these emotions in the most integrative, most joyous way will truly help you build that muscle again and build your ability to more positively define these different emotions. And so when you are still clearing through your belief systems and still finding different residues, you will have much more excitement in that way, much more joy, much more positivity around continuing the formula in that way. Does this make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Hi, so I wanted to ask whether in your realm or where you are, there are also battles or struggles between what we call good and evil, or power, greed and fear, whether there's a greater battle going on out there similar to what we experience here on Earth.
No, not in the way that you would understand it. In that way, we have watched Earth to learn about these ultimate types of story, we might say. The ultimate types of contrast between good and evil in that way. We have sent our energies to you in many different ways as different, we can say even imaginary friends. But it has also been our way to peer into your reality so we could more so fully understand the different types of stories in that way. We do, in a sense, especially those of us that are fully entering into our excitement at this time of being a more fully integrated contact specialist in that way. There are still different aspects of what you may understand as the shadow aspects of ourselves, or different aspects of the emotional body in that way that do have a slightly more mystical and darker connotation to it, but not anywhere near in that way of what you are asking of the same level of contrast in that way. And when we do go into these shadow aspects of ourselves, or the different layers of the void, you might say, we do it as we were saying, as we are expressing to you all that you have the ability to do in an extremely positive, very joyful, very excited way to dive into the shadowy deep. But no, we do not experience the same type of contrast as you. As we said, very, very few civilizations do. Thank you.
We are all coming to you live from Cape Town, South Africa, and I wanted to find out if you could tell us a little bit more about our collective consciousness here in Cape Town, as well as we've been going through a drought recently and how that can relate to our collective consciousness, as well as a little bit more about Table Mountain, or the mountain we call Table Mountain, and the energy thereof.
Yes. We first wish to ask you, in the area of Table Mountain, is there also a specific area or name that has anything to do with a cat?
Lion's Head. Lion's Head. Yes.
Repeat it?
Lion's Head.
Lion's Head, yes. Is this within the same area?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Just making sure we are on the same line. So, yes. There are many of you in that way that have been stationed, you might say, around this particular area on your planet. And more of you are, in a sense, waking up and finding each other and finding your internal connections to find your external connections. There has been much experience of separation, you understand, in your part of the world. Your collective agreement, and when we say your, we mean your specific family, your specific explorers in that way, are able to bring to this specific area at this time a very specific energy that can be felt by all of the different people, all of the different perspectives in that way on your country. Your specific frequencies have the ability to adapt, you might say, to all of the different types of people in your region, and each individual in that way will be able to hone in on their translation of ultimate wisdom in that way. There is a very specific heart song that reverberates through those of you that are collecting together, that are connected to this energy at this time, that will be understood and realized and noticed by many, many, many different people from many, many, many different perspectives in that way. There is something undeniable about your purity and about your love. This, of course, can be said for all beings, and for all beings specifically involved in this type of energy at this time. But we also wish to point out to you that the area that you are coming from has a quite long history of different aspects of segregation. Also then, relating to the idea of the drought. From my perspective, any form of water in that way is a mirror of the emotional body. There has been an emotional drought on planet Earth. Certain aspects of what, again, have been labeled denser emotions were labeled in a way as not necessarily being needed or being too quote-unquote negative in a way to be felt. There has been, in a sense, a very, 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 very long emotional, energetic drought on your planet. It is now manifested itself in certain areas on your planet to serve as a reflection in that way for more of you, in a sense, to know that it is time for you to begin watering your own emotional bodies, for moving your own emotions. As we said, this is the second phase of contact, going in and feeling your emotion, your water in your motion, your emotion. So this then gives a very stark, a very, very direct, intense, in your face reflection in a way that not only you, your group specifically, your country, but also your continent and the entire world in that way are ready to dive into their own waters. And the more that this is done, in a sense, as we have been talking about today, with a positive definition of diving so deep, the more that things can move and be released, and different aspects then of Gaia herself will be able to follow suit, to be able to shift different climate changes. Once the internal landscape and the internal climate has been met. You're all climbing your own mate in that way. Also, we wish to relay back to the first question that we asked about lion's head. For in my perspective of how I am telling this story of different levels of training, different levels of mastery, that some branches of first contact, second phase contact specialists will go through. The first phase for us is the cat phase. I am labeling it the cat phase. Of fully grounding into the planet, your planet Earth, learning from the nature spirits, learning from the ancestors, learning from the land. You are all in that way exactly where you need to be from my perspective and many more. The lion's head in that way is a gate, and you are all, in a sense, building the round table of the Table Mountain for more and more to be called to, for more and more to be able to find their place within the greater circle, and to move out of segregation and into integration. Bringing more together, bringing more connection to the emotion and the water, and for the rain in that way to truly come.
Thank you. We just have a last message for us before we end the transmission.
We wish always then to thank each and every one of you, individually and collectively, for your excitement, for your curiosity, for your bravery, for your courage in that way. For we state again, we are in that way utterly impressed by you, inspired by you. We truly, truly learn from you and what you have chosen to do for the rest of the all that is. And so we invite you in that way to see you a bit more how we see you. We also invite you to remember that we have opened the door to Adora Pan. Open the door to this new third reality that is always accessible to you. We will also say that Adora Pan can have a similar frequency in that way to what some of you may understand as Never Never Land. In that way, the Indians and the pirates are all our friends. There is not so much the experience of different groups in that way, but the idea of Never Never Land in that way is quite similar to Adora Pan. I know a place where dreams are born, and time is never planned. It's not on any chart. You must find it with your heart. Never Never Land, or Adora Pan. And so that is open now that much more to each and every one of you. That much more inside each and every one of you. So have fun, play within the play, and dive deep. Thank you. Thank you. Clap for yourselves. Clap for all of us together. We send our unconditional love to you. We bid you a lovely evening full of excitement and wonder. And we bid you pleasant dreams. Good evening. Thank you. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. Thank you to class and all of you guys too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really hope to see you again very soon.
Absolutely, yeah, we'll do it again.